GM just announced it will lose $1.1 billion due to tariffs in the second quarter of 2025. But that's not all. No, they will make $3 billion. That's not all. My brain is on fire today because I'm thinking about what kind of job is Mary Barra doing? I think Mary Barra is saying to the other guys there in Detroit, the other big team in Detroit, being like, hold on, boys. I got this. Let's talk about that because I got all these wheels spinning in my head today. Hey, it's Tim, Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk. Let's talk about what Mary Barra just said today, where GM's at today, and where they were when she started in 2014, how things have gone, how things have navigated, because I find this really just fascinating. So let's get to this. Maybe you'll find it fascinating too. Maybe you won't. I don't know. Pop top, put something in a coffee, maybe something stiff in your coffee, because this is going to be a good conversation. So the news today was 2025 General Motors Q2 earnings takes $1.1 billion hit from tariffs. Full-size trucks, SUVs, limited exposure, to a degree, more profits, limited exposure. Artistic license, go with me a little bit on this. So the story is that GM's CEO Mary Barra wrote a letter to shareholders. This is typical. Every quarter she does this. And in the letter, she highlights GM's what's going on. She highlights the vehicle's appeal to consumers. She thinks people like GM vehicles. She should. CEO, you'd imagine that. She highlights technologies like OnStar and Super Cruise, which OnStar, by the way, multi-billion-dollar company by itself, staying the course in electric vehicles despite slowing sales in the United States, because globally, electric vehicles still selling. Business owner. Makes sense. And global improvements in markets like China, which is huge. China, world's largest automotive market, massive, which reported a second consecutive quarter of year-over-year sales growth. Big deal. It is a big deal, actually. In addition to her, she talked about stuff. So she's talking about how she's adapting to new trade and tax policies. Like, it's more than it's adapting thing, because it's interesting. During the last 11 years, she's been in the helm of GM, how much she's seen. It's been a lot of changes. The company's core profit fell 31.6%. Wow. But it's still $3.04 billion in profit. And full year guidance includes a reported $4 to $5 billion in tariff-related impact. So right now, they lost $1 billion in the first quarter of tariffs really being impacted. Remember, January, February, March is quarter one. We didn't really have tariffs. April, May, June is the first quarter that we really had some tariffs being impacted. So they still see more tariffs being put through June, July, August, and then September, October, November, and then December as quarters. So more tariff-related coming. The Korea business accounts for $2 billion of these tariffs. Why? I knew you'd ask. I looked into it. GM builds the Chevrolet Trax, Chevrolet Trailblazer, Buick Encore GX, and Buick Envista in Korea. Why? Those are global vehicles. They sell them in China. They sell them in other places. I think they sell the Trax different places, different name badges, but they sell them in Mexico, different places. So they sell them all over the world because GM's a global automaker. Makes sense to build them globally. And some of those are imported in the United States as well. Now, when they come to the U.S. and the U.S. market only, they're subject to a 24% tariff. So it's a problem because they are entry-level SUVs. They are sold on really their price point. Well, you raise their price point a couple $1,000s, it's a problem. So GM has probably been eating those costs to keep those prices low, which causes the $1.1 billion in losses. All right, that's what makes sense. So we're on the same page here, right? So GM trucks and SUVs mitigate the problem because what GM had done was they stockpiled a bunch of volume of vehicles to make sure they could navigate the tariff what's going on. Because remember, when tariffs first announced, it was every other day was a new kind of wrinkle in the tariff plan because everything was really crazy and it's really unclear. Uncertainty was the word of the day. Automakers are trying to get more clarity. Automakers can work with these tariff ideas. They just need to know what the plan is. Very clear. Clarity is a big deal. So they stockpiled vehicles. They stashed engines, transmissions. They bought warehouses. It didn't mitigate stuff. Then secondly, GM worked very actively to start moving inventory around, especially on the truck side, because trucks have more profit. Profit margin is the same, for example. Let me be very clear. Profit margin in vehicles is about 10, 15%. But as you sell more high dollar vehicles, the cash is more. So percentage of profit is the same on vehicles across the board. But if you sell a vehicle for 10% more, but say it's selling a Trax, you make $2,000. But if you sell a GMC Sierra Denali Ultimate at $85,000, you make $8,500. So the profit margin in cash is more, percentage is the same. So they need to keep those higher profit margin dollars more on the higher dollar trucks to mitigate the margin losses for dollars on lower dollar vehicles. That's how business works. So they started moving around some plants, make some changes. They added more seasonal staff during the summer for the Fort Wayne assembly plant to keep production at a higher rate. Because typically a Fort Wayne assembly, as most plants are, they have weeks laying off because they shut down for the seasonal holidays with July 4th. Then UAW people go on seasonal breaks, they take vacations, and so production drops. Line speed goes down. Hire staff, keep line speed up. They also had Slough, Mexico. We talked about this last week. Reduced production. Oshawa went to 2 shifts. They reduced overtime shifts. Kind of keep production from other countries like Canada and Mexico lower because they wasn't sure what was going on with the USMCA kind of built vehicles. It was all kind of murky back then. So they kind of let things going. And they talked about that was in the Oshawa one was due to evolving trade environment. They went back to 2 shifts. Okay. Both those plants build GM full-size trucks. Finally, GM changed plans to build electric vehicles from building electric vehicles at the Orion Assembly Center in Orion, Michigan. Will now build the Silverado 1500, Sierra 1500 Cadillac Escalades by 2027. Those are all high dollar vehicles. Okay. So we're trying to build more in the United States, high dollar vehicles, mitigate the impacts of the Chevy Trax, Trailblazer, Buick, and the other Buick, because the likelihood of bringing those back to the United States is pretty low. Low volume vehicles, not a lot of margin there, doesn't make a lot of sense. So she says, the United States will continue to lead the industry in full-size trucks and SUVs, a lot of new designs of redesigned crossovers. They reintroduced the Trax and Buick Envista and Acadia that took huge leaps forward in design technology, which I agree. Vehicles look a lot different, and customers like them. That's what she said in the letter. So what does all this mean for Mary Barra? How have things changed? I have footage from 2014. Really exciting stuff. Let's talk about this first. So what has GM's profits been, and what have they done for 2025? Where are we at? So right now they say they're number 1 in total sales and deliveries, first half in deliveries, but they're also number 1 in truck sales. They're on track to lead the industry in full-size pickup sales for the 6th consecutive year with approximately 40% of market share. Sorry, Ford and Ford F-Series. That's all marketing battle back and forth. As GM has decided to take them on forward, they've decided to start finally putting their sales numbers together in a way. They're not fully there yet. They still separate those in sales charts, but they're starting to be more aggressive in how they talk about their sales numbers. They're kind of getting pissed off at Ford. And so they're saying, look, you're kicking guys' butt. Here's the proof. They're also on track to lead the industry in full-size SUV sales for the 51st consecutive year with approximately 60% market share. I know, I told you the Ford Expedition is doing better. It is. It's still losing. It's doing better. Still losing. Okay. Number 1, retail sales. Record crossover sales. Strong fleet business. Number 2, EV manufacturer. I mean, they talk about they're kicking butt. And I thought, okay, so Mary Barra replaced this Dan. Okay, looked it up. So she replaced Dan Ackerson in January 15th, 2014. And that year, of the previous year, GM wasn't doing too hot. They reported net income of $3.8 billion, a 22% decrease compared to the previous year, and things weren't looking so hot. But then last year, GM had a record increase. They had $14.9 billion, a 21% increase. Wow. Looking at the profit over the years from the January 31st, 2024 through April of 2025, apparently, I pushed a button. Looking at the volume of increase of billions, they've had some good years here. What killed them was 2014 and 15. They had some bad years. You know what that was? Ignition switch recall issues. I was going to say a bad word there. which was all the middle management thing, which is GM's fault. People talk about the 6.2 liter V8 issue going on with GM's engine right now. I will give you that all day long versus the ignition switch recall. If you lived through that, that was a bad issue at that time. And then this is COVID years. And 2022 were not great years, COVID years. Now they're kind of rebounding. Things are going better. Look at the 5-year kind of things. Yeah, things are looking better for GM as far as growth. And so things are getting better. Profits going better. So that's going well. So we talked about how doing better there. Talked about how doing better here. Going better here. Going better here. Going better here. Then looking at sales. If you look at the sales back, this go back to what am I 20? This is 2014. Yeah, January 3rd, 2014. This annual sales numbers. I don't know if I was doing sales numbers way back then, but I think I was. But GM back in 2014 or the ending year sold 480,414 Silverados. They sold 184,000 Sierras for the year. So 480,000 Silverados, 185,000 basely Sierras. Well, Q4 of last year, what they did last year, they sold 542,000 and 322,000 Sierras. So they're selling a lot more trucks than they used to in 2014. So profits are up and truck sales are up. Interesting, right? So then you look back to 2014. Motor Trend does this really great thing. So this is 2014, which, by the way, I really like this iconic look of the 2014 Silverado. Like, this is the iconic Chevrolet look to me. I love that grille. I just love the way it looks. Original price is $25,575 to $49,100. So you guys are right. Trucks have gotten really expensive. Have they? Let's talk about this a little bit. So, looking at these numbers, I was able to reach out to GM and find this darling of a truck. Ready for it? Yes. Here it comes. Oh, exactly. So this is a 2014 Z71 LTZ four-wheel drive crew cab truck. They found it in their archives. It is a, like I said, 2014 model. This thing's a beauty, Clark. It's a beauty, Clark. This thing is gorgeous. And so that's what I have in the archive. So I want to do apples to apples comparison. So this is a 2014. It's a beauty, 5.3 liter V8. God bless America, V8 sound. This is just gorgeous. And then look at this interior. So this, if memory lane for you guys, here we go. Memory lane. Yes, we have this little smaller screen, and they still had this screen until like, I want to say even until like last couple of years. To have the column shifter, the radio controls there. You still see a lot of this stuff in the fleet trucks as of a couple of years ago. I mean, things haven't changed. Heated steering wheel button still in the same spot. Think about that. For last, I'm moving the camera here. Sorry. For the last, what are we going on? This is 2014. Last 11 years, the steering wheel, the heated steering wheel is in the same spot. Doors look the same. I mean, you know, what hasn't changed here, right? So that looks the exact same truck looking at back then to where we're at today. So let's look at today. So this, I'm on Chevrolet.com because I couldn't find any good footage I wanted to use, but this is Chevrolet.com. So here we go. This is the new way the new truck looks, right? So looks changed. Front end looks better, I think. Better, worse, I don't know. I still like that iconic look. That, I mean, come on, man, that looks great. Looking at this, and so what do we have really changed? We have new choices. We have a Duramax diesel. We have the new Turbo Max, the 2.7, which a lot of people seem that they like. Lots of good power. I love the Duramax. The 5.3 still exists. The 6.2. So back then we have active fuel management. Now we have dynamic fuel management. Which, oh, by the way, people want to keep blaming these for lifter issues and oil issues. It's just interesting because we went from active fuel management to dynamic fuel management. We had vehicles that got shipped without dynamic fuel management because we had chip shortage during 2020. And I just Googled this the other day and talked to some mechanics, and the ones without dynamic fuel management had lifter fuel issues as well. So I don't buy this whole idea that lifter issues are related to any of this fuel management garbage. So I don't buy the argument at all. So we have the same kind of idea as far as overall reliability is the same from 14 to today. You have a bad lifter in 14 as you had in 2025. It's bad part. It's just what's going to happen. It's just bad luck. We have better towing. Back then, it was 10,000 pounds on average. Now we have 13,000 pounds. We have better fuel economy. Don't give me this garbage. Your 14 got whatever. I'm not going to buy it. Today's 2.7 Duramax is a lot better. 3-liter Duramax is a lot better. 5.362 get even better fuel economy, better performance, horsepower, torque's a little bit better as well. So we have a better overall truck. I think it even rides a little bit better today. Okay. So we've made some changes. We have the screen. I know people want to criticize the screen in these trucks and say, we don't need a big screen, whatever. I will tell you that this screen with the Google built in, it's nice, easy to see the maps. It's easier to touch screen, easier to see with backup cameras. I know you're going to yell at me in the comments. I get it. But then let's talk about price. Bottom line, price. I know. Here we go. So this truck here on the screen, this 2014 Silverado 1500, if you scroll all the way down and you do apples to apples and you say, all right, this was a going all the way down. This is a 2014 Z71 LTZ four-wheel drive standard crew cab truck was $45,350. That's a damn good price. $45,350. Damn good price. Okay. This 2025 model, I just priced it out. It's $62,781. My dealership, some dealership near me, exact one. Z71 with the LTZ with a Z71 package on it is $62,781. My God, that is $17,000 more. That's why trucks more expensive today. $17,000 more. That's ridiculous. It's just absolutely ridiculous that $17,000 more in today's money can't be that much. What the frick is he talking about? Well, according to the inflation calculator, the truck back then in 2014 versus truck today, it's about the same gosh darn price. And you get more towing, more power, better fuel economy. I know you hate it. Better screen. So I don't know. That's where I stand. That's my thoughts. Hey, for more, check out videos over here. Website down below as well. PickupTruckTalk.com. As always, thanks for watching. I will see you down the road.